I'm Andrea Giles, and you're listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, episode number 69, Differentiation. Hello, and welcome to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, where courageous women learn not only to heal from their spouse's betrayal, but to become the boldest, truest, most decisive, and confident versions of themselves ever. If you know there's more for you than the life you're currently living, but don't quite know how to get there, you are in the right place. Stick around to learn how to create a life that will knock your own socks off. Is it possible? It is, and I'm here to show you how. I'm your host, Andrea Giles. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode number 69. We're going to talk about this big word today, differentiation. Hang with me, okay? If it sounds boring, it's not. Hang with me. Give it a listen. You might get some understanding about some things, okay? About the home you grew up in, things that you have experienced and what they mean, and why you might be responding to things now the way that you are based on your differentiation style as you grew up in your home, okay? So basically, what is differentiation? Differentiation is a way of understanding how we relate to other people. David Schnarch, a therapist, PhD, really great guy. He actually passed away last year, but he did some really, really important work. He defines differentiation as the ability to maintain your sense of self when you are emotionally and or physically close to others, especially as they become important to you. Okay, so to put it in other words, it's your ability to stay with yourself even when you're close to people, keeping your own emotions, your own thoughts, holding on to yourself, especially as they are important to you. So you have heard me talk about attachment styles probably multiple times now, and this is another way to understand ourselves. The more awareness you have about your own level of differentiation, the more you will understand how infidelity is affecting you personally. It'll help you make sense of your personal reaction to the things that you have experienced. Okay, to help you explain what differentiation is, I'll use several examples going back to things that could possibly happen in a childhood home. As I talk about different differentiation levels in homes, I'd like you to look at your own life and what you were taught as a child. Some of these things will sound very familiar to you, okay? But before I dive into this, I want to make a few points. Point number one. We are designed for connection. We are wired to connect with others and with the desire to form lasting bonds with others. But we're also designed to be unique individuals with our own talents, gifts, and preferences, as well as our own thoughts, feelings, and desires. Sometimes those can get mixed up. Sometimes we think it has to be one way or the other. Okay, so let's look at how these things can get mixed up in various family styles. Okay, first I'm going to talk about something called low-level family differentiation. Low level. So I'm going to tell you some traits, and I'm going to give you some examples of what this might look like, okay? So in a low-level differentiated family, it would be expected that you don't stand out too much, at least not for the wrong reasons. For example, if a family prides themselves on looking a certain way in the community, then someone acting in a different way than the rest of the family may be frowned upon as it challenges the image of the family, of the unit. If a family wants to be known for being smart, very educated, church-going, well-mannered, etc., one family member acting a different way, such as deciding not to go to college or dressing in a less refined way or speaking in a different way than the rest of the family, may cause some problems for a low-level differentiated family. The individual may feel a lot of pressure to conform even if they don't want to. Okay? If they don't push back, they will likely settle into the family pattern and stop trying to really be their own selves because they know it is not welcome or appreciated by the whole. And as I mentioned before, we are wired to connect. We're wired to be in units. And so if we don't have a strong sense of ourself, we will kind of morph into the whole to stay connected to your people. Okay. Another trait of low level differentiated homes is a big crossover of feelings. So let's say that dad comes home from work one day and is in a bad mood. He's kind of snapping at people, just edgy, grumpy. All family members in a low level differentiated home would respond to his mood. They're going to tiptoe around. They're going to wonder if, did I do something? What's going on? They're going to feel kind of insecure themselves. They may even become grumpy and snappy themselves because dad's in a bad mood. Okay. That's something that happens in low differentiated homes. The people kind of take on the moods of other people. Now, let's say in another example that a kid comes home from school and had a rough day and is highly emotional. In a low level differentiated home, the mother may take on the child's emotion as if it were her own. If the kid is anxious, the mother becomes anxious. If a kid is sad, the mom becomes sad and tries to swoop in and fix it as if it's her own problem, much because she wants to feel better. And a little note about this is that many of us have been conditioned to believe that it is our job to always keep our children happy as if it's a virtue of being a good mother. Never sad, always fulfilled, doing something enriching and fulfilling with their time. This puts a huge burden on parents and actually assists in creating a family dynamic of low level differentiation. Okay, in public, a mother with low level differentiation blames herself for every little thing her child does. If the child cries or throws a fit in public, she makes it mean that she's a bad mother and she can't control her kid. She is highly sensitive and highly reactive to everything that her kid does. Okay, another example. This one's a little more heavy, but hang with me. Let's say that a teenager in a home gets pregnant. In a low level differentiated home, the family would do their best to ignore the elephant in the room. We don't talk about it. We don't discuss it. We patch it up. We either throw together a wedding and just call it good, and the whole pregnancy piece becomes a non-issue. Oh, we're just gonna throw you a wedding, and then nobody has to know, and this is what you're gonna do. Hide, because we don't want to shake the image we have so carefully crafted, right? We've worked to make this image, and we can't have that crumbling down. If people knew that we don't have the perfect family, then it would cause major emotional flooding for the parents, and we can't have that. And so we need to just patch this up and pretend like it's not happening. Send the child away to where nobody will know. Okay? I'm sure you've all heard stories about this kind of thing. Maybe you know people who have been in this situation. I do. I know people who have been in this situation where rather than actually caring about the individual and their experience, it's like, we're going to do this thing to protect our image because image is everything. And without it, I don't know who I am. Okay. That's a low level differentiated home. This is another heavy one. And it's something I hear a lot as a coach. And so I thought it was worthwhile to bring up. I hear a lot about sexual abuse. Some of my clients were abused as children, and many of their spouses were. Okay. Many of their spouses were, and many of the parents of these spouses did not deal with it. It was swept under the rug. It was ignored. It was excused, telling them that they must have gotten it wrong, or, oh, they would never, or you just need to forgive and move forward, because they don't want to actually face the facts. They don't want to face the facts of it and feel all of those feelings. And instead, they sweep it away because they don't want to feel like a failure. So things don't get dealt with. Okay. That's what it looks like in a low level differentiated home. Here are some other traits. Engaging in life as a pretend or false self. Another trait is to be highly reactive to others. Very low ability to manage your own emotions. So hypersensitive to everything that anybody says because they don't have that sense of self of who they are to kind of bounce things off of. So they're like absorbing everything and believing it or fighting against it. Because heaven forbid somebody think something less than perfection about us. Lose self quickly. That means to let go of your own opinions and follow the lead of others very quickly. Okay, now we're going to switch over to high differentiated families. I'm going to use the same scenarios from before, but I'm going to share what it looks like in high differentiated homes. Okay. So, in the family that prides itself on looking a certain way, when a family member acts differently or exhibits different traits from the norm, they are celebrated. They are encouraged to pursue the things they are interested in as long as it does not go against the set family rules or values that the parents have carefully chosen, that they like their reasons for. Okay. They have chosen those rules and values based on their own feelings, their own things that they believe in, and also taking into account the whole family, not just the individual. So they encourage it. They encourage individuality. In the example of the grumpy dad, instead of tiptoeing around him, it is safe to ask him about his day or offer him love and space without making it mean that the family needs to fix it for him. He can be a human having a bad day, and it's okay. No one is taking responsibility for his mood, and he is given the job of taking care of himself. Now, the example of the kid that comes home having had a bad day, instead of swooping in and trying to fix it or even take on the kid's problems as if they are her own, the mom offers love and a listening ear, but does not try to fix it for her child. She uses moments to teach, if need be, but trusts her child to be resourceful and figure it out. She trusts that the child is capable and that she does not need to spell it out. Now, what if the kid comes home and is in that mood and is rude to everyone? Okay, in this situation, there are boundaries. There are boundaries, and those boundaries are upheld, but it's done out of love. It's not done to try to make everyone feel better. It's done from this place of, this is what the rules are. This is what I feel is best for the family. And inviting the child to either go spend some time away from the family while they work through whatever it is they're working through or talk it through, but that certain behaviors are not permitted. Okay, and then next, the example of the child in public. The mother knows who she is as a mom. She knows that she's capable as a mom, but she also knows she's not perfect and that she does not need to be. She also understands that children aren't perfect and does not place that false expectation on her child. So when the child acts up, her thoughts are, he's acting like a kid, not, I am clearly a horrible mother because I've not trained him well enough to not act like this in public. Instead, she loves the child, but she holds him responsible, but from a clear, clean place. She shows up the way she wants to, not because of some outside expectation of how she thinks she should be. Now on to the pregnancy example. In a highly differentiated home, the child who made the choices is shown love and concern, and the parents don't make it about them. They ask her what she wants to do, to take accountability for her own actions. She is given responsibility instead of hustling to hide it from the world. Now, the parents might feel their own feelings, right? They might feel sadness, they might feel disappointment and heartache. Yet they don't hand it to the child to carry and make her responsible for their emotions. They handle their own emotions maturely. Okay, same thing with the sexual abuse example. Instead of making excuses for the person being accused or pretending it didn't happen, steps are taken to help protect the child, not just physically, but emotionally as well. There's a separation between emotions and carrying out what actually needs to get done to keep the family member safe. Here are some other traits of high-level differentiated homes. Willingness to tolerate discomfort and growth. Can control own reactivity. Our ability to not react actually allows us to come in closer. For example, let's say that you're having a conversation with a family member and you notice that you are wanting to react. You're wanting to get a little defensive and say something back. But your ability to not react and to pause and to listen allows you to stay in the conversation longer, to hear more, to understand at a deeper level, to lean in and then respond, not react. This facilitates closeness, to learn to not react. Another trait is a clear sense of who you are while also being close to those around you, okay? A sense of self, a clear, solid sense of self. You know who you are, you recognize who you are, and you value your own opinions, your own mind, your own traits, all the things about you. And you can have those things while simultaneously being close to somebody. You can care deeply about someone while also maintaining a strong sense of self and not getting lost in what they think you should be. Okay. Another huge trait is an ability to interrupt your own thinking, to challenge your own thinking. For example, you could be going down a path in your brain and start to push back on it. I could be wrong. What else could be going on here? I feel angry and I want to say whatever it is you want to say. Noticing it and pushing pause. I will hold off and wait until I feel more calm. Okay, so now you have a pretty good idea of what differentiation is. Okay. How does this make sense in infidelity situations? Where does it show up? Okay, with somebody who is used to a low level differentiation, they are going to feel personally responsible for the emotions of the spouse. The spouse who betrayed may be having a hard time self-confronting. And instead of self-confronting, they hand it to the spouse and want them to share every burden, listen to all the reasons why, want them to be their shoulder to cry on while they talk about all the things, instead of learning how to handle their emotions themselves. This is quite dependent on the other person for them to feel okay in the world. So this is the person who I have clients who deal with this, where they are hurting themselves, where they're trying to heal themselves, yet they feel responsible for the experience of their spouse. Like, I don't want them to just feel like I'm not there for them while they're working through this and that, right? High level differentiated people will allow that person to experience the consequences, will allow them to feel it, knowing that it's for their good and that they cannot solve it for them. Another example of low differentiation in an infidelity experience is when the partner who has been betrayed feels like they can't express hurt feelings, they can't take up space, they can't give themselves time away because they're afraid of the spouse falling apart. They're afraid of what the spouse will do if they are actually honest with where they're at and how they're feeling. Or they're making excuses for them, for their spouse, for their behaviors, and spending so much time excusing them and dismissing their own feelings as if they don't matter that much. Paying way more attention to what the spouse is thinking, doing, feeling than what they're currently experiencing individually. Now, in high-level differentiation situations around infidelity, the person who was betrayed knows that even though they have not been perfect, because no one is, this is not for them to figure out. This is for the spouse to figure out. They let them take responsibility for their own healing instead of taking on the burden themselves to find just the right therapist, support group, etc. They let them know what they want from their partner to feel safe, but they don't micromanage getting it. They invite them to grow with them, but allow them their choice. Say, this is what I need, and I invite you to step into this, and either you're going to choose to or not, but they're not swooping in trying to solve it for them. They also share how they feel. They share their thoughts and feelings. They share their hurts. They share them. They're not laying it at the feet of their spouse and saying, you did this, you have to fix this, you are responsible for all of this. They're owning their own feelings, but part of owning their own feelings is sharing them with their spouse, saying, this is where I'm at. It can make you feel really trapped if you are dependent on your spouse to behave a certain way for you to feel okay. Okay. It leaves you feeling trapped. So what do? I want to talk now about how to grow, how to become more highly differentiated. So first of all, I want you to imagine a picture on a paper. Okay. One picture is two circles where there's one circle and the other one is almost all the way on top of the other one. There is very little space that is not overlapped. Okay, if those were family members, that is what a low level differentiated home looks like. It's where there's very little room for independence, for assertiveness, for individuality. It's like you have to do these things, feel these things, act this way to be a part of this family. Okay. Now, imagine two different circles again, where there is a little bit of overlap and a lot of space. That's what we're going for. That's what a highly differentiated family looks like. There is overlap. That is the connection piece. That's the unity piece. That's where we come together and we are vulnerable with each other and we let ourselves be seen. That's where we choose each other. But the other space is where we maintain our sense of self. Okay. So how to do that? Practice being with yourself. Practice listening to what you have to say. Sometimes just the simple act of placing your hand on your heart can help you keep with yourself, stay with yourself. Do activities that help you self-regulate, meaning that help you stay in an emotional state that lets you stay present with your own body. Give yourself a timeout if needed. Take space to be with yourself. Prioritize your own healing over others. Set healthy boundaries of what you're okay with and not okay with, and uphold them. Okay, all of these things will help you build your own sense of self, of who you are, and you will grow in love and respect for yourself as you allow yourself to be seen, regardless of the outcome. The beautiful thing is the more you practice these things, you're going to notice it in other relationships as well. So when your kid comes home and gives you news that normally would have spun you out a year ago, you can stay with yourself and you can look at it more objectively and hand it to the child. It is not your problem to solve. You might have to get involved somehow, but it is not yours because you've become a more highly differentiated person. You understand that it is theirs. Be more assertive. Practice clearly communicating your wants, your needs, your thoughts, your feelings, not because you need anyone to come your way for you to feel a certain way, but because you understand that the greatest way to influence others is by you showing up as the strongest version of yourself. You're not trying to control, you're trying to influence. You're letting people know who you are. You're letting people see you. Practice answering this question. I am blank. Who are you? Where did you get that information? Practice being open to who you are. Notice if you're getting the info from what people have told you or from who you have decided that you are. Who are you? Now, one note I wanted to make is that this all shows up whether you're married or divorced, whether you're separated, any situation, okay? Because guess what? We all grew up in homes where there were different levels of differentiation. I feel like in my home, there were some things that where there's high differentiation and some areas that were low. That can be very normal too. And it's okay. It's okay. It's all about awareness so we can see and understand ourselves at a deeper level, confront that part of ourselves and strengthen. Okay? All right. So that's all I have for you today about differentiation. But now on to some other things before I end this episode. Okay? I want to invite you to leave reviews. I want you to invite you to let other people know how this podcast has helped you. For those of you who already have, I appreciate it so much. I appreciate it so much. If this podcast has helped you, if it has helped you to grow, if it has helped you to heal, I invite you to go share that with other people so that they can go read about it and know that this is a safe place for them. I also wanted to let you know that I have some really fun guests coming up that I hope that you enjoy learning from. While I'm out on maternity leave, you're going to hear from several different guests about lots of different topics, and I know that you'll love it. There's some that I'm really, really excited about. So I hope that you enjoy it. I hope you find it useful, and I will, of course, be back. So leave those reviews, share this podcast, and go enjoy those episodes coming up. Thank you so very much for being here. I know there are literally millions of podcasts out there to choose from, and it's a great honor to me that you're choosing to listen to this one. So thank you so much. Have a good day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast. If you would like to be kept in the know about upcoming free classes, new podcast episodes, and other ways of working with me, go subscribe to my weekly email. You can subscribe at AndreaGiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. Again, it's AndreaGiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. I will see you next time.